What's up? What's up? Big Brain MMA, episode 114, UFC 297. I'm your host, like always, BigSteve. Let me just do this light a bit. I know I'm ugly, but it's still a little bit too dark. Welcome to another episode, second episode of the year. Last week, did alright. About 2,500. Could have been better. A little bit annoyed. But let's get straight into the recap and start, not waste any time. My guest will be in here soon. So for 1FC, I just had a big bet on Quan Wan Il. First it was 2 units. I said I was going to be more aggressive with my 2-unit bets. So it was $1.44 when I taped the fight for the first time. I'm surprised it wasn't much bigger. I thought it was a squash match. And yeah, I ended up with 1.35 units just because I thought it was a striking fight. He dominated him, looked 80%. 2 units would have been fine. So won 880 there. Won like 400 on LFA. I just played some action plays. I really hated the card from a betting perspective. And then in UFC, as we know, I hit that under 1.5 rounds on Nolan. Quite easy. I had a much better line, but obviously couldn't tip it out. But I tipped out minus 200, which still had plenty of value. And then, had Semmelsberger, which I kind of didn't like. But, my ROI for small favorites is awful. Short notice. I wish I could get it back. But, yeah, placed on a bookie that I couldn't cash out. And then CLV killed me. Had a moment in the third round. Didn't capitalize, kept pulling guillotine. Didn't get taken down in round 1. Or it couldn't be controlled. And he still lost the fight. Even took Old Mate down in round 2. So, extremely winnable fight for Semmelsberger, and he loses 30-27. So it is what it is. Usually I wouldn't play those bets, but yeah, probably too quick to lock that one in. And then had a parlay with McGee and the under 1.5. In the horse fight, that was easy. It had some significant strikes in the Batista and the other one that cost the fight. So yeah, a little bit annoying, $1,000, but it's profit. It is what it is. The only way to make it better is profit this week again. So let's get into it. First time guest.
What's up, buddy?
Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Anytime, man. Anytime. I'm just trying to fix this lighting. This is looks like I'm in the dungeon.
Kind of dark over there.
Yeah. Well, it is like 8 a.m. But
yeah, I don't blame you.
There you go.
Man, too much tape to do this week. My head is spinning.
Yeah, it's not too bad. You should be a little bit ahead, with Christmas time break and all that. This is the first time in the year that I'm actually ahead of my life.
Yeah, I wish I was ahead. I'm always like cramming shit, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I'll try. I'll try to fix that this year. As soon as I start to get overwhelmed, I'm just gonna stop. That's what I did last week. I was like, why am I taping this LFA card top to bottom?
Dude, I just taped the Octagon. I just finished kind of some of the Octagon fights. The Octagon with the C, the Kazakh one.
Oh, that yeah, I'm not touching that, man. It's a waste of time. If it's not on the archive where the fights are hyperlinked for me, I don't bother. I don't waste any of my own time searching.
Makes sense.
All right, let's go through these comments and shall we start? I know you only got an hour or so. Lou Betcha calling us the GOATs. I'll take it. Big up, Steve. LP. Malcolm Gordon season. Yeah, we'll see about that.
Well, you know what? Let me retweet it real quick.
Yeah, good idea. Moy's audio. We're live. Can we please get the legendary BJ Penn as a special guest? If possible, Appleman too. I spoke to Appleman. He's not really interested. Narco. Dixon Cider. Alrighty. Beautiful fight to start the card. Absolutely beautiful. Malcolm Gordon versus Jimmy Flick. Two absolutely high quality fighters. What is there to say? I don't really understand what's going on with the line movement. I spoke to a few people that are usually the culprits of crazy line movement, and one of them is actually on Jimmy Flick. So I don't know, could this be like what the Ariana Lipski fight where, me and my sharp friend and everyone and Lucrative is on Lipski, yet the line doesn't budge 1 second, and it still looks like an amazing bet. Could this be one of those? But yeah, I taped this card early, and what do you reckon, mate? Are you a Syrian?
Yeah, I'm a Syrian.
You,
Who the how did that person know right there? That's crazy.
yeah, you look like an Assyrian.
A lot of people don't even know what Assyrians are, to be honest. They're like, "Oh, you're Syrian?" No, not Syrian. It's completely different.
That's the same thing, it's just a different letter, bro. Anyway, yeah, I think I taped this fight last weekend just because it just felt like a shit show fight that I was gonna love. Mostly looked into it for the under 1.5 rounds. Thought it would be steamed. Honestly, it's not. And upon retaping it, I guess I can see it. I personally think Jimmy Flick doesn't have that much power to knock out someone that's as chinny as Gordon. I don't think Flick is getting submitted by the black belt of Gordon. Yeah, Gordon can kind of crack, but I don't think Flick is going to roll over to someone like Malcolm Gordon. And definitely think Gordon can be submitted, but I think he's got a couple of reversals in him. I don't think it's going to be instant sub like Albazi or someone. Could be. But yeah, so I ended up passing on the under 1.5, but I do have Flick at the peak of the line, which is $2.73 or plus 173. I just don't get it. Like I said, I liked it last week at slight dog money. I think this is the worst guy Flick has fought in the UFC, hands down. It's not even a contest. It's the easiest stylistic matchup. He's got bad takedown defense. He can't really win fights, Gordon, unless he initiates a grapple-heavy game plan. Even against Figueiredo's brother, who's a black belt, he had to wrestle. There was no other way he was winning that fight. He kept getting reversed, ending up on bottom. He spent the whole round one on bottom. I think he probably reverses Flick a couple times, but even then, he's liable to be subbed from the bottom as well. Flick's guard, is quite good, at least against lower-level guys. Yeah, I just don't get it. I don't get it. Minus 200 on Gordon. I don't even know how he looks minus 200 unless he runs through him in round one. So I have half a unit to win, over $1,000 on Flick. And the way this card is looking for me, this is my favorite bet. So it's kind of sad. So it is what it is. What about you, Matt? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, man. I taped this one early too, and I wanted to play Malcolm Gordon. I really did, because I do think Jimmy Flick is not UFC level at all. Like, in my opinion, I mean, this guy's sober bust. He's got terrible cardio. It really falls off a cliff after like a round and a half. But the one thing he's really good at is the jiu-jitsu, right? And the one thing that Malcolm Gordon's really bad at is his takedown defense, dude. It's god awful. Like, when you look at this guy past, like, once it goes past that first round, his takedown defense is awful, man. Like, Augusta Wynn takes this guy down, and that's where the issue is here. Like, if you're gonna be playing Gordon, like, I have a feeling he's gonna get taken down. And then when you talk about reversals, like, if he's going to be reversing Jimmy Flick, like, Jimmy Flick's probably going to throw up a triangle there. Like, I mean, it's just one of those things he's very comfortable with. He does it a lot. He's the way more dangerous guy on the ground. That's for damn sure. I know Malcolm Gordon is a black belt, but, Jimmy Flick on the ground, that's his game, right? On the feet, he sucks. Let's be honest. Like, his striking is fucking pathetic. And this guy's 23 fights into his UFC career. I mean, into his pro career, and his fucking striking is absolutely pathetic. I doubt he works on it, to be honest. So at the end of the day, at this price now, it's dog or pass. The one thing, though, Steve, that I told myself is, like, I really don't want to fade a shit fighter with another shit fighter. And that's exactly the case here. And I know you're getting plus 170. I just don't trust Jimmy Flick, man. Like, his cardio is god awful. Like, if his cardio was good, honestly, I'd probably play him. But it's like, what happens after 7.5 minutes? Or, like, I know Malcolm Gordon has way better cardio. That's for sure. His chin sucks. And, like, Jimmy Flick really doesn't knock out anyone. So it's like, man, I was like close to playing Jimmy Flick today. And then I'm like, why am I going to go against what I've been telling myself? So at the end of the day, I'm just going to pass. Kind of lean over here, honestly, because I feel like if it's an under 1.5, I think it's a Jimmy Flick sub. But if it's over 1.5, I think that's where we get into the Malcolm Gordon territory. So, like, Jimmy Flick, I guess, I don't want to even say he's chinny. It looks like he just kind of crumbles. I don't think he's like chinny, but I also don't think Malcolm Gordon is like some big hitter either. So, yeah, it's just a pass for me at this point, honestly. But it's dog or pass.
Yeah, I don't know. I must be seeing something different because, yeah, even slight plus money, I was excited. I was like, this is a bet, you know. I think this is, you know, easy bet, you know. I think it's going to be a scramble heavy fight, and as long as Flick doesn't get knocked out early, he's just live for a sub for all 15 minutes. You know, I don't think Malcolm can win that game where he's just holding Flick down. Maybe he's washed. You know, there's a chance that I look like an idiot, but I don't get, you know, the narrative. And we're spending a bit time on this fight, but it's, you know, we probably won't spend as much on the others. I just don't feel like the narrative, you know, where he come back and he looked like crap after his retirement because he's fought the two worst matchups for him. You know, Costa, who's got elite takedown defense, and Charles Johnson, who like can't be submitted. He was in Royval's guard for 3 rounds, and that's when I realized, man, this guy's submission defense is elite. I don't think this is anything like that. And he actually didn't really flake in that fight. You know, he was coming after Costa. He just couldn't take him down, you know. Couldn't take him. Even took Charles Johnson down. Yeah, I don't even think his cardio is that bad. Maybe I'm not seeing the same things. You know, he's got a bunch of round 3 subs, round 2 subs. You know, the Nate Smith in Contender Series, dude, that was a crazy pace. He just kept putting him through series of submissions, and submissions gas you out, right? That's how most people get Homer Simpson. You know, someone goes for a guillotine, gasses out, and then their arms are burnt out or the legs are burnt out from a triangle. This guy's just putting on submissions and squeezing for like 15 minutes straight, and then eventually puts him out with an arm triangle choke. So I don't know. I've taped Flick so much, man. I've taped his whole career because he's such an interesting dude. He's just like losing, and he probably does look gassed, and he just gets a round 3 sub. So I just think he's got more pass personally. He can wrestle. He can, you know, win on bottom, win on top, scramble.
Yep.
Maybe even hurt Malcolm Gordon. Who the hell knows? But
yeah. Are you like concerned a little about the bigger cage where, you know, Malcolm Gordon kind of use it? I mean, he's more athletic for sure, right? Malcolm Gordon.
No, Malcolm Gordon. He's not going to circle on the outside in a UFC fight. Like he's wild, man. He's just going to come brawling, and he's probably going to get level chain. I'm actually not concerned with anything on this fight. This is one of those fights where I just locked it in, and you know, I don't have any stress. It's like if I lose, I lose, but this feels like a great bet. So it's rare to have those because I constantly overthink things. But this one is just like, you know, this is a great bet. I'm not going to overthink who's steamed it. If it's some sharp, if it's inside knowledge, I'm just happy and I'm moving on.
All right, fair enough.
So yeah, it's rare. It's rare, Narco, to be at peace with my bets.
No, that's good. I mean, that's the best thing, right? Place the bet and don't worry about it.
And we'll see what happens. I mean, I already made a short reel about it. Once the reel is out there on YouTube, there's no going back.
There's no going back. You're done.
All right. So I knew we wouldn't be spending as much time on this fight. Jasmine Jasudavicius versus Priscila Cachoeira. I have a soft spot for Cachoeira. You know, ever since I cashed her against Gina Mazzani, and I've been always trying to, you know, whenever I see her against another grappler with bad striking defense, I'm always kind of like, yeah, could this be another spot? You know, she does hit like a truck. She can knock out anyone. I mean, she's the only girl to beat Ariane Lipski, who I think is quite close to the rankings, if not already there, after beating Casey. And, you know, she ran through her too. Obviously, styles make fights. You know, Ariane was always a bit chinny. Yeah, no interest in this fight. I mean, I looked at Cachoeira. I haven't watched that Maverick fight. I think I was in Europe. I watched it and I was kind of like, that was a little bit too easy. And I don't rate Maverick that much. So yeah, I do think Jasmine is quite hittable. She's flat-footed. I don't think her wrestling's the best. It's mostly body locks, takedown stuff. But yeah, I just don't really have much interest in this fight. I kind of perused over the tape. Didn't think I'd like it. I just did it for the sake of the show. So nothing really calls my name here. What about you?
Yeah, I don't have a bet here. I do think Jasmine probably gets takedowns and rolls here. But I'm going to probably attack some props depending on what they open on. I love my props. So depending on what they open on domestics, I'm going to look to attack some props here because, you know, one girl has pretty damn good cardio. The other one kind of doesn't. And one girl's pretty good on top while the other one's very bad on the bottom. So, you know, I do like Jasmine to finish probably here late, so we'll see. I mean, she's been going to a lot of decisions. I get it, but when you watch a tape on some of those, like she had Maverick in a RNC, like it was pretty close. Like she's going for finishes. She's not like just stalling out positions. Like she's throwing ground and pound. She's looking for, like I said, in Maverick fight, like she had a rear naked choke. I know it doesn't show it on UFC stats, but she did go for it. And honestly, Cachoeira on the ground on her back is awful. So
yeah, she's awful, but she's got some heart when it comes to submission defense. I don't think Jasmine is going to lock anything in. I was actually surprised Maverick submitted her, but I guess she kind of, she tired her out.
She kind of wilted there, honestly. Like she was tired. She was kind of getting beat up, and then she kind of wilted.
Yeah, I was actually impressed by that performance by the Maverick. It was a mature performance. I thought Maverick was someone that was going to drop the ball there. She's yeah, good on her. All right, let's move on. Save some time. To a beautiful fight. Yohan, Lainesse versus Sam Patterson. I'll let you take this one away, mate.
I mean, this is Sam Patterson is who I thought he was, to be honest. I didn't expect Ash Moose to put his lights out like that, and this guy was fighting for like 2 minutes after the fight was over. He was trying to take down the ref. But like, here's the thing with this matchup. Like, he's moving up to 70, right? He's a big 55er. I'll give him that. He's 6'3", but he has a frail type of frame. So he's very thin. The problem is, like, this guy's chin, even take out the Ash Moose fight. When you watch his regional tape, he's getting hurt. He's getting dropped. Like, Dana White's Contender Series, Sensi, who's a damn fucking grappler, just drops him with one right hand. And the issue is now he's facing a guy in Lainesse who hits very fucking hard. No matter how bad this guy is at MMA, he hits very hard. So it's like, okay, Sam Patterson kind of gets his submissions via his opponent's grappling, and he locks in those front chokes. I mean, I don't expect Lainesse to honestly grapple here. Maybe he does. I don't think so. But I think he can catch Patterson, obviously. Like Patterson at 55 uses a lot of his reach and his height, right? I mean, he just does. He uses a lot of his kicks to keep his opponents away. He uses his jab, his reach. He's not so much going to have that in this fight. So it's like whatever advantage you had at 55 is most likely gone at 70. So I think he's the weaker guy. I think he's the less durable guy. Now, Lainesse cardio, I mean, it's kind of iffy. Even in the Weeks fight, I didn't like how he looked in round 3. But yeah, this fight is again a pass for me. But if you got like early lines on Lainesse, I don't mind him. Like, I know he was like plus 100. I would definitely take him at that price. But I'm not willing to lay juice on this guy.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shit show fight. I have to say, I did lock in Lainesse at $1.80, which is 10 cents away from pick'em. Now it's a little bit steamed. I thought I would like it more. I thought this is a clear early knockout path. Tons of massive favorite upside on someone like Lainesse. A bit like the Semmelsberger fight, and the big moment never came. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I locked it in for a unit. I was never going to keep a unit. If that Malott fight never happened, it would have been a much easier bet. I've been on Yohan, a couple of times. Contender Series. I was on the under there, and he was a massive dog against Burlinson. That fight, he looked like a killer. He kept getting takedowns, and when Burlinson went for a guillotine, he straight away jumped over to the other side, which is like elite level guillotine defense. He knows how to defend it. He doesn't just dive into it and then get submitted. And I played him against Green. I was lucky enough to lie bet out when Green was a massive dog after being dropped in round 2. A lot of people don't take that punch that Gabe Green did. I broke him with body shots, and I was also on him against Weeks, and kind of thought that fight would be much easier than that. I think he made it harder for himself with the extremely low lack of volume and output. Obviously, that's the issue with these guys. The gas, once they gas once and they get broken, they go to the other side of the spectrum and they barely throw and constantly conserve their cardio. He didn't have a gym for that fight, and I think for the Malott fight, and he did look quite off. And I watched some interviews because my mate put me onto this bet, and I hate tailing my sharp friends and then hating myself for not listening to my gut. And yeah, he spoke in his interview. He's a TriStar now. He said he didn't even have a gym for the last few fights. And first reaction, TriStar, not my favorite gym, to be honest. I've never been a fan of TriStar, even from back in the day. They just turn fighters into, too patient, low output guys. But Lainesse was already like that anyway. So, and he said, first time doing strength and conditioning, which is crazy because this guy is like an animal. He's got a big double leg. He's super athletic. He hits like a truck. So yeah, first time doing strength and conditioning, and he said, game plan might not happen in round 1, but I'm probably gonna knock this guy out in round 2. And he's training with Mandel, which is pretty cool. He says that guy's a beast. Rat Garbage from Bellator, if anyone knows. He's just tall and lanky and quite a technical striker. It's probably a harder guy to deal with than Sam Patterson, to be honest. Nalo actually has power and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to overthink it. I thought he's got all the KO upside. As you said, Patterson was hurt on Contender Series. We seen him knocked out by some Indian jobber in 1 round in early in his career. Saw what Ashmoose did to him, who's also a jobber. With all due respect. So it's there. The move up to welterweight makes me a little bit less confident. I'm having that thought of, could he potentially be more durable at welterweight? But then again, his reach and height is a little bit more nullified. I think he's only 2 inches more reach against Yohan, or 3. So yeah, it's a scary bet. Always is with Yohan. There's always potential chance you look like a massive square. And Sam has all the volume upside. But yeah, I think this is, even if they're not throwing, Yohan's going to be live for, a big moment. He's getting calf kicked, leg kicked, whatever, jabbed. He lands a big moment. That's all it takes.
I listened to that interview, by the way. There was one interview I listened to, Lainesse, which I didn't mind what he was saying. He kind of said that Malat fight, he didn't train hard. He didn't, like you said, he didn't have a gym. But the other thing he said was really weird. He's like, I already knew going into the fight, like I wasn't gonna win. It's like, what the fuck? Why did you fight?
You could tell in the fight, like mentally,
he said it. He said he was like mentally not even there in that fight.
And you can see when they early tap like that, it's like when people usually early tap like that. I know I do it in jiu-jitsu as well. You show up, you're not there. It's like a premedicated thing. You're like, I'm gonna roll shit today, and then you just keep early tapping because you just don't feel like fighting it. You could tell.
Yeah.
And he just rolled over, and
he said it. He said it. The one thing I do like, how you mentioned durability, like moving up to 70 for Patterson, but dude, this guy, the way he leaves his chin up in the air, and it's just bad news, bro. Like he's pulling out of the pocket with his fucking chin literally up in the air. And Lainesse, if you hear that interview, that same interview, he says exactly that in the interview. He goes, this guy, as he's leaving the pocket, he always leaves his chin up in the air, and that's a bad thing to do against me. And so he literally said that. So he watched tape on this guy.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious. It's right there. Yeah, the longer this fight goes, though, I do favor Sam. I think he's kind of a guy that comes on 2-3. The under, I was considering the over 1.5 as well, the plus money. If we're going to see the patient Yohan, I mean, I think he dropped Gabe Green over 1.5 rounds as well, but it's just one of those. He would be a good hedge as well. I wish I went over 1.5 rounds on the Semmelsberger fight as a hedge.
But it only takes one though. That's the problem. Like
exactly, you don't know what kind of Lainesse is going to come out. He says he's going to take his time and knock him out in round 2 probably, but you just never know. When that chin is there, and you're getting tempted, the dude might come out and kill him. Alrighty, so I'll definitely reduce that from a unit, but we'll see. As I said, my slate this week, Flick and Yohan so far. I want to address some comments because they're building up, Got a lot of live viewers. 69. Oh, that's a sign. That's a sign. Dick Cheese. Love the show. I'm from Singapore. Can I get a shout out? There you go, mate. The Jewish better murked Sam Patterson in his debut. I thought that was hilarious. Riding high. Smash the like button. That's the first time someone's asked someone to like. Dan Hamilton, I bet Gordon minus 115. You know what? I feel like that is just the accurate price. No offense to your bet, but I feel like I know a lot of people think Gordon should be the favorite, but I just don't. I don't know. I don't know why. Lainesse now trains at AM. Yeah, we all know that. Giza, how are you, sir? Alrighty, Julian Robertson, Viana. Do you want to take this one away as well, sir?
Yeah, I got a bet here actually. I laid the juice with Gillian at minus 200. I just when I did tape on this, the one thing that stuck out like a sore thumb over and over and over again is Polyana just has a hard time against grapplers. Like if she's not getting her armbar from bottom, she's getting kind of stuck on bottom. Against what's her name? Baby Shark. Like, yeah, Tabitha Ricci kind of was scared to like engage in the grappling and stay there. But it's like this girl's laying on her back getting kicked, like not doing anything. The other thing is I think Gillian Robertson's a lot more dangerous when it comes to the sub game. So if she's on top of you, looking at Viana and how she looked against Lucindo and how she sliced past her guard and got that arm triangle, it just doesn't look good, man. And Gillian Robertson, call her whatever you want. Like, I don't think she's, some people were saying she's chinny, she's this, she's that. I don't think so. I think she's pretty tough. Like, yeah, she's been knocked out. Yeah, she's hittable on the feet. And I think Polyana Viana is the much better striker. But I also think Polyana Viana can easily get taken down, like very easy. And once she's on the ground, that's Gillian Robertson's world, in my opinion. So I think she's going to find a sub here, to be honest. And Viana just looked awful last time. I know Lucindo is a young prospect coming up, but she's not like some demon on the ground. And she made her look like an absolute demon on the ground. So I'll take my Robertson at minus 200. I mean, the line's completely gone crazy now. I wouldn't touch it now, but I still think she finishes here. And if you look, like I said, historically, Viana just loses to all grapplers, and Gillian Robertson is exactly that. So I also like that Gillian is at 115, to be honest. I don't like her at 25.
She looks good. She looks good. Natural weight class. Yeah, I agree with everything, man. Obviously, I'm not going to touch this line on Gillian now. Obviously, even as a parlay piece, women's MMA is not really a parlay piece material for me, as you know, as we discussed on LFA last week. But yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how to play this fight. I thought about the under 2.5, but I think it's accurate. If anything, I think the finish from Gillian can come round 3 late after the 2.5 mark. Yeah, Viana against Lucinda. I mean, she was winning up until she wasn't. I think she's still a dangerous chick. A lot of people underestimate her. She took a round of Tabitha Ricci, even though it was an awful matchup. People thought she would be on her back for 3 rounds, but I think that's just more so Tabitha Ricci being overrated. Not a fan of her either, to be honest. Yeah. I think Gillian, she does great things that Viana sucks at. Great single leg, instantly passes. I love her passing. So she's not really going to stick in guard where Viana is the most dangerous. I think there's a slight possibility, slight danger of Viana armbar. That's always a chance. Gillian has been armbarred multiple times, but I think it's very small chance, maybe 5-10%, not even that, 5%. And then I didn't like the flake I saw from Lucinda. It's kind of like the Lainesse tap, really. Gillian doesn't really do that. I wish she had more subs other than the armbar and the rear naked choke. But her rear naked choke is elite. And Viana doesn't really give up the back. She's happy to stay flat on her back, which I guess, the armbar is there. But if she's doing that for, maybe let's say she gets an early takedown round 1. If she's doing that for all of round 1, all of round 2, most of round 3, the finish is going to come, whether it's from ground and pound, from gassing, from something. She's going to quit from other things. As long as Gillian, gets an early takedown, you never know. Her wrestling is god-awful sometimes if she can't get a single leg. But yeah, let's not bang on too much about it. I mean, you probably got a easy winner there, just providing she gets out of round 1. I'll figure out a way to play it. Gillian, but finish is kind of like plus money, if you can just stomach the fact that she's not going to get finished by Viana, which is her path. Alrighty. Back to me, I guess. Serhiy Sidey versus Ramon Taveras 2. This is a rematch of the Contender Series, my worst Contender Series day all last year where I lost pretty much every bet. Taping this fight for that Contender Series fight, I thought Ramon was one of the dogs that I liked. Ultimately, he was going to lose. But because it was one of those days where I just wanted to play everything and lose, I ended up playing Taveras scorecard no action, thinking that he couldn't get finished. He's most likely has the finishing path. Even though deep down I knew, Sidey's too durable and Taveras is the chinny one. His one loss was a KO to a 3-5 guy. And yeah, go figure, he got dropped and, the stoppage was awful, but yeah, it was still a bad bet. It was minus money. So we didn't really see much other than, Sidey can take Taveras' punches and Taveras might be chinny. Didn't see his chin get tested against Romeus. Romeus came in like an idiot, obviously wanted to entertain us all. It ran through him, and now he signs to the UFC and they're rematching. I guess, the line is pretty similar. A bit of money came on Taveras, I should say. And yeah, I don't know. I feel the same way. I feel like, there's probably value on Taveras, but I feel like the longer this fight goes, Sidey's probably going to be the side. A lot of Taveras' tape, it doesn't go long. And, I still have questions about his chin. I definitely think he's more dynamic and more dangerous early, but Sidey's kind of like, death by 1,000 cuts and comes into the fight. They both rip the body, which is pretty cool. And Sidey kind of grapples, but his wrestling is pretty average. So yeah, Sidey might be a better live bet. I'm kind of struggling to play this price, even though I think he's the overall winner as the fight goes. But he's kind of like, we'll talk about the next fight and the fight after that. They're all in a similar mold to me, kind of like juiced lines, minimum value. They're probably going to win, but I'd rather play them after round one, when there's going to be some adversity and the live line's going to be better. So a pass for me at the moment. I haven't even looked at the over-unders. But yeah, what about you, mate?
Yeah, I played the over here, actually. I played the over 1.5. I think it was minus 115. So basically like even money. When I taped this for Dana White's Contender Series, I honestly had over 2.5 there at, it was like plus 180 or something, right? I don't so much like the over 2.5 because of the simple fact that Sidey is kind of like death with 1,000 cuts. Like this dude is he's got elite. The one thing I have on my notes is this dude has elite cardio, man. His cardio is fantastic. He can go 5 very, very hard rounds. He's a Muay Thai guy. He's got some nice kicks, but so does Taveras. Like Taveras' left body kick is really, really nasty. But it's like when I rewatched the fight on Dana White's Contender Series, I don't know, for some reason in my memory, I thought that Taveras was easily winning the striking, but then upon rewatch, I don't think he was easily. It was pretty damn close, to be honest, because Sidey did land prior to that, the punch that knocked him down. But I mean, the stoppage was bad, right? Let's be honest. I mean, that was a terrible stoppage. The one thing that stuck out for me on tape is both guys are durable, man. Even though Ramon was dropped, like, yeah, he's been knocked out before, but if you go back and watch that knockout, it's a fucking flush head kick with the shin right to his head. Like, okay, anybody can get knocked out with those, it's whatever. But I do think he's tough. I do think he's durable. I think the same thing about Sidey. The thing is, the boxing, man, Ramon Taveras' boxing is absolutely nasty, dude. That left hand has a lot of power on it. He digs to the body. But I just think the durability and the cardio is huge on Sidey's side. Sidey is elite cardio, like I said, and he's got more weapons than Taveras does. He can get it to the ground. I think his ground game is better. So I think, like you mentioned, like, why play Sidey at minus 170 when a lot of the dangers in round one for Taveras, right? So sit back, let's see what happens in round one, and then from there you can decide if you want to jump in on Sidey if Taveras is kind of falling off.
Yeah, I agree, man. I see this a lot of the time. People jump the gun and suffer a round 1 KO loss, and I have too. That's why I'd rather choose the live bet. And as the fight is playing out, I'm like, I'm so glad I chose the live bet. I think this is one. I think it's going to be maybe not a war, but quite competitive early. These guys are rematched, and Ramon's probably going to come out for blood, and Sidey probably doesn't want to lose to him, and make it look like a fluke, especially in Canada. But who knows, man? I get the feeling this is a pay-per-view in Canada. These pay-per-views are usually bloodbaths. Maybe maybe we just get some crazy
Don't say
wars
it.
from
Don't
start
do
to
it.
finish.
Don't say it. I have the over here. No bloodbath till later.
Yeah, the crowd's going to be pumping these dudes up, hopefully. Speaking of pumping up, I definitely hope it pumps up Charles Jourdain, because I do have another bet. This is my last bet. Another bet that my boy from Canada actually said, lock Jourdain in. He's a good bet, and I was like, oof, not a minus money. So I locked it in $1.66. I taped it. I actually tipped it out to Discord. The Discord loves for me to just give him anything I play, just to tip it out, even if I'm not 100% certain, because they hate when the line moves against them and then I can't tip it out. So I just gave out. I said it's early line, and look, I left thinking Charles Jourdain should win this fight more often than not, right? It's most likely going to be a win, even if it's a minus EV win, because we all know Charles Jourdain, loves to lose the first round, loves to do something that's, not how he should be fighting. I think this was potentially a levels fight in a weird way. I don't think Sean is that bad, but then when you look at his career, he doesn't really have a good win in his entire UFC career, And Charles Jourdain, even his losses, Nathaniel Wood, Shane Burgos, which could have easily won. Lando Venata, I think, that's Ricardo Ramos. That's probably Sean Woodson's level, right? If Sean Woodson's going to win, it's probably going to be a close decision, because, Jourdain gave away the round 1 like he usually does, and then just kind of didn't put a stamp on it in rounds 2 and 3. I watched that every single Woodson fight, which was a bit tough. Everything on the archive, just to see, has he ever been hurt like that, like he did against Saldana? That was a bit of an outlier. I've never seen that in his career, and he never has. He's never been hit clean. I left thinking this guy has elite rolling with punches and defense. Considering he's always backing up, he's always getting pressured. His head movement is beautiful. As he's dodging and weaving, he's throwing knees up the middle and he's landing clean. Like his accuracy, he's a sniper. He's definitely the cleaner boxer. And yeah, he's never been hit clean. Even with Rosa, when Rosa was pressuring him and he was gassed, and Rosa has probably the hardest punches other than Saldana, he couldn't hit him. He couldn't really hit him with anything. He just kept rolling. He was bloody. His nose was bleeding, but it was nothing clean. So I am thinking maybe the guy has a bad chin, but he's so good at not getting hit clean. The first time Saldana cracked him, I think that was a concussion. And I was still impressed that the fact that he came out and, won round 3, concussed. Those got dropped with a jab after that. And then he got ate a soccer kick as well. And I was like, yeah, this guy's definitely concussed. So yeah, I don't know. I think if Jourdain wants to make this close, he can be close. I think because he's both guys back up and put their hands high, and Jourdain's going to be open to the body. I love the way Woodson rips to the body. He can mix in takedowns. That's always been Jourdain's, kryptonite. But I do think if Jourdain does Jourdain things and he comes on strong in round 3, when Woodson slows down in round 3 traditionally, I think that's going to be a clean round 3 for Jourdain. I don't know if he'll finish him. Like I said, I hate Jourdain striking, just winging left hooks and jumping knees and just slamming body kicks and head kicks. Nothing's really set up with him. And yeah, and speaking of my awful ROI on slight favorites, I played him as a slight favorite over Wood. And yeah, again, no big moment against the chinny Wood. You see Naimov and stuff getting million moments, Feely getting million moments. And then when I bet on him at slight favorite, he just gets dominated 30-27 and looks awful. So it's tough to rely on these guys that need big moments. But I think, if he just stays aggressive, he should, in Canada, he really should, outpoint, have the harder strikes against Woodson, who's just going to kind of pitter-patter him to a split decision if he does upset him. So yeah, $1.66, I have a unit on Charles Jourdain. I think maybe, again, a live bet will be better here when he drops round 1, but there's a chance that he doesn't drop round 1, A couple of big kicks, body kicks. Live lines are very sharp these days. What do you say, mate?
Yeah, I mean, that's how I'm looking at this fight. I don't want to. The problem with laying, like now, especially, like he's close to 200, I think. The problem with laying the juice with Jourdain at minus 200 is just if he doesn't finish, right? If he doesn't finish the fight, he's fighting very close against almost everyone. So it's like always a split. It's really close. And And I could see that happening here against Woodson. Woodson is long. He's the better boxer, like you said. He does have some takedown upside in this fight. I don't know if he has a lot of it, to be honest, but he might have some here. I do, however, think like Jourdain is a little more dangerous on the ground than Woodson is. But I think this is a good fight, kind of like the last one. I think it's a good live spot opportunity. If you want to get in on Jourdain, I think you might actually get a better line come round 2 or even in the middle of round 1, depending on, everything depends on how the fight's playing out, the success each guy is having and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I mean, this is one that I kind of told my Discord, like, I'm staying away right now pre-fight, but we're going to try to attack the money line on Jourdain depending on how he looks after round 1.
Yep. Easy peasy. I can't disagree with anything there. There's some comments here that set me off. I thought Jourdain hit harder than he did. I think he definitely hits hard. He just can't land clean. That's his issue. Oh, that's right. The split decisions. That was one of my reasons behind keeping the play. Split decisions are against Feely and who else? Kulibao, right? I think these guys are all. That's why I think it's a levels fight. A split decision against Feely, who I think is still up there. Maybe top 15, top 20. It's quite impressive. I don't think Woodson would have a split against Feely. I think Feely would just have his way. And in that fight, Feely, mixed in the wrestling, and every time he threw a head kick, it just looked like he was 2 weight classes, heavier than Jourdain. So I think this is a step down. I think this is like maybe like a Kron Gracie matchup or a Rojo, who he just beat the shit out of in round 3. But yeah, let's move on. Brad Katona versus Garrett Armfield. So this is the trifecta of the 3 bets in a row. They should probably be live bet. But I do know a lot of people actively laying the steam on Brad Katona, which is fair enough. I thought there'd be some value in Gareth, and the guy's clean, the clean boxer, decent power, and has his own wrestling, and he's quite good takedown defense to start the fight, right? But my issue with him is I still have questions about him. I had questions about him before the Kazama fight. I thought that was an easy matchup for him, and we learned nothing because he ran through him in round 1, right? And that didn't answer any of my questions, and he was kind of blowing out of his mouth there too. And I started watching every single fight that extended, and he looks tired in every single fight. So ultimately, I wanted to fade Katona in his debut, and I opted to live bet when he was plus money in round 2 against Gibson. And, for that fight, I gained a lot of respect for him. The guys fought the who's who, Marab, Azur, Evloev in Ultimate Fighter. Then he gets Gibson in the finale. He refuses to wrestle, puts on the most exciting fight. Breaks his orbital bone in the 3rd. He's just got cardio. He's got durability. He's got wrestling. He's just got will to win. He's a typical minus EV guy that always wins. If you need someone to win the fight for you, he'll win the fight. So he might lose the boxing exchanges here because he's a lot hooks, throws a lot of hooks, but he's serviceable and he makes it work. Gareth is definitely cleaner, especially when he's fresh. But if he doesn't knock him out, which I lean towards not happening, I think the cardio, the constant pressure of Katona, I think it's going to wear on Armfield. Maybe there's still value. I don't have the answers to lock in a bet on Gareth. So I'm just going to wait and go back to the well and try live bet Brad Katona again. And I'm really liking some round 2, round 3 sub. In tradition to having Narco on, give a Lambo there. Hopefully it's a great price because Katona doesn't have many subs, but on tape, he's sneaky. I think it's live when Garfield gasses out. What do you reckon, sir?
Yeah, it's one of those like lines where I think Katona wins. I just don't want to lay like minus 200. Like Katona is the type of fighter, honestly, that I would love to back at like minus 115, minus 120, because he's kind of a safe fighter, right? It's safe in the sense that he's going to grapple. He's got very good durability and he's got very good cardio. It's just one of those guys that you want to back because if you give me the archetype that has very good cardio, has very good durability, can grapple, right? It's usually a good bet when the guy's like even money, depending on obviously who he's fighting. But Katona's that guy. Like he's actually fought some really, really good fighters. Kyler Phillips in in Ultimate Fighter, Bryce Mitchell in Ultimate Fighter. Like, he's beat and fought really, really good fighters. So when we kind of talk about levels fighting, I mean, Brad Katona, I think, has fought the way, way better opposition here. You know, Garrett Armfield, boxing is good. I like his boxing. I think it's really good. He throws everything in combos, which I like. So he's never throwing one punch at a time. It's always 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. He throws a lot of combinations on tape. And he does have decent power. You know, he had that Canadian hurt in CFFC really fucking bad. What the hell is his name? The guy that was on Dana.
Vogel.
Yeah, and I honestly, I think that guy's pretty damn good. The problem is, like, Armfield just fucking cardio dumped. I mean, bad in that fight. Like, he completely died after he couldn't finish him when round 2 came out. And even in round 2 at the beginning, he landed a huge 1-2. But then right after that, it was like, I'm dead. I'm done. And he cardio dumped and got finished. So, you know, I don't know what to make of Armfield, but I can tell you that Katona's the type of guy that will always fight for your money. The guy has great durability, great cardio, and he's going to keep coming no matter who you are. So, you know, at the end of the day, I think Katona wins this fight. Do I want to lay minus 200, minus 180? I honestly don't. But yeah, I could see what you're talking about, you know, late round props here, possible, you know. He does go for subs, like you said. But yeah, I mean, I think this is Katona's fight to lose.
Easy peasy. Do you need to go in 20 minutes or so?
We can keep going. Yeah, like 20, 25 minutes. My son's still not home from school, so.
Yeah, just checking so we don't take too long. Alrighty, at least we're onto the main card. I'm also looking at my battery, so I didn't bother plugging my laptop in. So I like to be on the edge all the time. Yeah, Arnold Allen versus Movsar Evloev. I don't know how I feel about this fight. These are two guys that I hate taping. They're just kind of like, I don't know. They're just, you know, when you got these fighters that they've been in the UFC forever, you never cared about their fights, and now they're matched up against each other. So that's how I feel. I know there's a lot of hype on Movsar, and personally, I just think I can't play the minus 200. I get that he's going to wrestle Allen, and I taped, you know, reluctantly, I taped Allen's old fights, you know, Amir Khani and Burnell, and a long time ago, some of those, you know, 5-6 years ago, and no one really proactively grappled him since. Obviously, you got, you know, Nick Lentz. That was also 3 years ago, and Nick Lentz didn't get any takedowns. Sadiq did, but I think Sadiq has underrated wrestling. Yeah, I mean, it's just hard to know how much he's improved. He was a little bit reckless. His takedown defense was good until he got reckless, and then he would be taken down. And the guy is just next level explosive. You know, that 1-2 from southpaw. I think he can get a big moment at any point. You know, Movsar is just kind of like a wet blanket. He's always giving up moments. You know, gets dropped. I saw someone, I'm not going to say any names, with a big following. You know, it's like, I've never seen Evloev drop, never seen Evloev hurt. Man, it happens all the time. You got stunned like 3 times against Davidu. He got hurt by Lopez as well, Diego Lopez. That's just recent. I mean, he's got a few. He's not always getting dropped, but he's just, you know, he's putting his chin there on a platter, right? And Arnold Allen, I mean, he's a tri-star. He's in Canada. He just has to, you know, sit back and make a game plan, an anti-wrestling game plan, you know, which he's done multiple times 6 years ago. And yeah, just land a couple of big left hands and outstrike Evloev and get a split decision in Canada, right? So it's a dog or pass for me, but because I hate both these guys, I haven't really looked into it too deep. More importantly, I haven't really gone to the Evloev side because I'm not looking forward to it. But yeah, it's a dog or pass for me, and I'll just have to see whether I lock it in. Obviously, the steam keeps coming on Evloev. It kind of reminds me of the Bryce Mitchell fight. You know, I loved Emmett all week, and just Twitter, just the steam on Mitchell, just 2 units Mitchell, and it's going under minus 200, and people just still betting it. I feel like the same thing's going to happen here, so I'm not rushing it. What about you, mate?
Yeah, I'm on the same camp, actually. Pre-tape, I said to myself, I'm probably going to bet Evloev at, you know, minus, it was like 160 at the time, 155, whatever. In hindsight, I probably should have bet it because the line has moved now and I could probably free roll. But once I taped it, yeah, Arnold Allen gets taken down, but it's not easy to keep the guy down. He gets up. He's extremely strong, to be honest. Like, when you look at his physique, 5 years ago when he was fighting, or whoever, Mads Burnell, that time, compared to now, it's a completely different physique. He's put on a lot more muscle. He looks much more stronger now. And the one thing I realized with Arnold Allen is his front choke game is really fucking good, man. He's really tight. It's really fucking good. And we know Evloev, like, he loves sticking his neck in there and getting fucking choked only to, pop out later. But like, this guy's been put in a lot of danger. Like, Nick Lentz had him twice very fucking deep. And I know Nick Lentz has a very good guillotine. Fine. But he was in fucking bad shape there 2 different times. Like, he had to roll over. Like, as a jiu-jitsu guy, when you roll over and you let the guy mount you, that guillotine was very, very deep, So, like, can Allen choke him out? Probably not. But, like, on the feet, man, I know people keep saying Evloev has good striking. I think Arnold Allen's way better on the feet than Evloev is. Like, I mean, when you have Diego Lopez, and Diego Lopez is an okay striker, he buzzed him in round 1. That's 100% guarantee. He buzzed him bad. And there's a difference when Arnold Allen is hitting you and Diego Lopez is hitting you. So, I came away with tape kind of liking Allen, to be honest, but I'm looking at this line and it's doing this. It keeps climbing. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm going to get plus 200 on Arnold Allen, and I'm fine with taking him there. Like, it's fine. If he loses, he loses. If he gets grapple fucked, he gets grapple fucked. But I think at that price, like, you can't look away from. And honestly, like, Max Holloway fight, I came out kind of impressed, man. Like, I think he won 2 rounds pretty clearly. He went 5 hard rounds with a guy that throws a shit ton of volume. He won round 5, and he absolutely went for it in round 5, which is what you like to see, man. His corner told him, it's like, dude, you're down 3-1. Go knock him out. And he went for it in round 5. It's just that, Max Holloway is just that guy. Like, it's hard to get him out of there. So, everybody's on Evloev, man. Everybody's on Evloev. And I'm kind of leaning the opposite side here.
Yeah. I'll just keep waiting. Like you said, the line is going to astronomical heights, so I'm fine. Just wait it out. I do agree, man. He's extremely strong. I've seen some of his get-ups are just nuts. It's like all pure strength. Obviously, you don't want to see that. I think that's why he gasses a bit as well, because he just muscles everything. But again, this is a much younger kid. He's 28 years old. He's not even in his full prime yet. 29, pardon me. So hopefully he's learned some technical get-ups. His wrestling is also good. His offensive wrestling, Allen. He was throwing around Amikani and mounting him. I think he's got good jiu-jitsu too. I think he's an underrated guy. I never respected him until I started gambling, and then, started properly taping. And I'm like, this kid is, he's a bit boring sometimes, but he's well-rounded everywhere. You just don't really see his skills, because a lot of the times he just needs to shut the opponents down and outstrike him with a 1-2. So you don't need to see his full arsenal. But I think we're going to see it, as he stays high in the ranking and people start challenging him, we'll see his full game. Alrighty, Chris Curtis, MAB. You want to take this one away, sir?
Yeah, man. This is a really good fight, man. There's this card up and down. Like, okay, there's not like huge names, but the matchmaking is really, really good. This is another one that's a great matchup here. You got 2 guys that are both primarily strikers. Curtis loves the boxing, loves the hooks to the body. He's a really crisp boxer. I mean, there's not much else to say about Chris Curtis. Extremely durable. He's got good cardio. I mean, all of that is good. Great takedown defense. But he also has like the shoulder roll, but he does, for whatever reason, like, he gets hit a lot, man. Like, even in the Vieira fight, like, Vieira is not a great striker, and he's just landing at will on fucking Chris Curtis, So it's like, when I look at this fight, I kind of lean MAB at this price here. Like, the price kind of blowing out again. It's like almost minus 190, Curtis 200, Curtis. I just think that at that price, like, MAB is going to throw more volume, in my opinion. He's got very good cardio. His durability is really good. I do, however, think that Chris Curtis has more finishing ability here, just because I think his power is a little bit different. However, like Marc-André is not a slouch on the feet. Like he hurt Anders a couple of times, and Anders is fucking tough as hell. I mean, going back to that fight, that's probably the best Barriault that I've seen so far. And I think he's been going on like almost 3 years at Kill Cliff now. So I feel like he has been leveling up. And on the feet, like when you look at it as a whole, right? Let's just say this fight never hits the ground, right? I think MAB has more tools on the feet than Chris Curtis does, right? He uses more teeps. He has more kicks. I like Curtis's in-close boxing, but I like Marc-André Barriault's clinch work a lot more, man. Like he's nasty in the fucking clinch. Elbows, knees, extremely nasty in the clinch. And when I watched the Imavov fight, Imavov was kind of piecing up Chris Curtis in the clinch with elbows, knees, shit like that. So, you know, I feel like the line at this point, I want to pull the trigger on Marc-André Barriault. However, how I did play it so far, and I gave this to my Discord, is I like the +3.5 on Marc-André. I took the +3.5. I think it's like almost even money. Unless Curtis knocks him out, if this goes to decision, I see Marc-André easily winning 1 or 2 rounds. So, yeah, I that's what I have so far. But this line is kind of getting nuts.
Yeah, traditionally I hate those +3.5s, as you know. You know, even with Lapillus, he was a nice little trap last week. Yeah, people thought he would take at least 1 round, and yeah, 30-27. But it's mostly with the judging. But yeah, I thought it was going to be locking in Curtis. You know, a couple of fights in, and I'm like, yeah, this is quite an easy matchup for him because I'm not really a fan of MAB. You know, a punching bag that keeps coming forward. Never met a punch that he didn't want to eat on his face or his you know, high guard. And even in that Marquez fight, you know, he's getting wobbled all over the place by Marquez. And I'm like, yeah, Curtis is not going to slow down. He's not going to slow down and flake like Julian Marquez did. And then I watched that, Anders fight for the first time. And again, I must have been in Europe. Didn't watch it live. And he's actually fighting on the back foot against Anders. Anders is pressuring him from southpaw, and he's on the back foot, and he's going left and right. He's actually showing good footwork, and he's outstriking Anders on the back foot, and he's ripping the body kick. All right, so it's something I've never seen from MAB. You know, he's always pressuring. He's always, you know, looking to push you against the cage. And I'm like, all right, what's going to happen when Chris Curtis pressures him? You know, starts ripping his body, and he hits a lot harder, and he's not going to be, you know, he's not going to respect MAB. And then I saw that, and it's like, yep, Curtis is not going to block any of those body kicks, and he's going to struggle to cut him off, just like that Hermanson. I started getting PTSD from the Hermanson fight, even though I played Hermanson. So it's like, yeah, okay, now I can't play this line. You know, this line in Canada, I can't play it. I wanted an excuse to hammer Curtis. I think Curtis, you know, has a lot more advantages. You know, he's definitely not getting finished by Barriault. Can he get hurt? Yes. I mean, Hermanson hurt him, of all people. Anyone can get clipped. But, you know, I think he hits harder. I think I've seen Barriault wobbled a lot more. You know, everyone kind of wobbles him. He's happy to just to eat it and keep coming forward. But those are big moments the judges are going to notice. I think you can hurt him, wobble him. He's got more power, more durability probably as well. You know, I don't think any grappling is going to happen because of Curtis's takedown defense. But if I see it as a whole, you know, fight perspective, I don't know how much value I'm getting. This is like another child Jourdain, right? Curtis loves to give up round 1. And, you know, then he comes into the fight. He traditionally, round 3 is his best round. You know, hands down, always, you know, Gastelum, Hermanson, you know, every fight, he's winning round 3 pretty clear. It takes him a while to warm up, so, which is interesting because Barriault's the same, right? He's also losing and getting wobbled, and then, you know, uses his cardio to break people 2 and 3. So, yeah, I'm going to say live bet, I guess, but who knows? Maybe they both have a good round 3.
Who do you favorite cardio here?
It's tough, man. You put me on the spot.
I lean Marc-André, to be honest. I kind of lean Marc-André with the cardio. I know Curtis has very good cardio as well, like I mentioned. I just think if you watch the Anders fight too, what's very important, like you were mentioning, he's on the back foot, right? Yes. He is throwing a lot of check left hooks, man, and he's landing them a lot in that fight. And if you watch a sequence in round 3, he hurts Anders very bad with a check left hook while he's pressuring. The same thing that Curtis is going to do. He's going to pressure. He's going to come forward. And, you know, Curtis, if you notice, like he likes to dig that right uppercut, and it's going to leave him there for the check left hook. And he was doing it a lot against Anders, man, like a lot. And like you said, he looked a lot different. And I think that's the best he's looked. And he hurt Anders in round 3 pretty bad. And Anders is as durable as they come too. Like the guy is very fucking durable. So, it's a good fight. I think it's a really good fight. I think the line's kind of getting a little nuts, to be honest.
Yeah, Anders is durable, but he's a bit of a bum. I think this is like a step up from Anders, a couple of step ups higher.
But I mean, he also had to worry to the grappling with Anders.
Nah. Anders is an awful.
He shot like 10 takedowns in that fight.
Yeah, but he's awful. He couldn't get any of it. And
no, I know, but I'm saying like you have to kind of be cognizant of the takedown because you can't just worry about the striking. But with
that's
with this guy, that's all he's got to worry about is the striking.
Yeah, you're right. It's another reason why you can't trust him. You know, he's just going to box and he won't have a plan B to fall back on if Barriault's outstriking him. Which crazier things have happened, right? Alrighty. Neil Magny, Mike Malott. Personally, mate, I'm going to take the lead here and I'm going to say that I hate this fight. You know, it's from a betting perspective, what have they left me with? You know, they left me wanting to fade Malott with Neil Magny, who I absolutely hate and who I've been saying for like 10 episodes in a row that he shouldn't be in the rankings, but they keep giving him Phil Rowe and just these dudes that he can win a split decision over and somehow keep his ranking, even though those guys are not in the ranking anyway. So hopefully Mac Malott is the guy that kicks him out of the ranking, right? But, you know, there's no props, so I don't know what the props are going to be. You obviously can't parlay Mike Malott because he hasn't really proven himself and he's always looking average until he gets a finish. I will say I love his jiu-jitsu. His guillotine just makes me cream. When I see how he locks that guillotine in, I love it. It's what I try to do myself. Just jumps on that thing. And yeah, it's probably, you know, Magny holding him up against the cage and doing something, and he's always going to be live to get submitted. And he also cracks, man. This guy cracks. And Magny gets dropped a lot. So yeah, I don't know. I was considering the over 1.5. It's quite a generous price, but it's just like, man, you're I feel like this is you're rolling the dice. I feel like the finish can happen at any point. And if you like Magny, just live bet him. But yeah, this fight I have no interest from betting unless the submission, which seems to be Twitter mush at the moment, unless submission is decent. But I feel like with the money line, submission is going to be trash, absolute trash.
Yeah, I mean, this is a setup fight for me. Like they're setting up Malott to win here. I tipped it out again to my Discord. It was minus 260 last week. And it's probably going to be one of my biggest bets of the year. I have 5.2 units, so to win 2. I just, man, Neil Magny, like, I understand the Neil Magny of old. He's looked absolutely horrendous his last 2 fights. This guy looks like he fell off the cliff, to be honest. He looked bad against Phil Rowe. I don't care. He won. There's potential. He lost that fight, to be honest. And he looked pretty fucking bad in that fight. He looked terrible against Ian Gary. He had no game plan, nothing for the kicks. Like, dude, you're a 30-some fight veteran. Like, you don't know what the fuck to do anymore. Just get kicked to death. Like, it looked awful, man. And, you know, everything here points to him a lot. Like, he's the better grappler. He's the better striker. The only thing that you have, if you want to bet Neil Magny, is you're fading Malott's cardio because we're not really sure, right? We don't know how good or bad his cardio is. But outside of that, like, can he submit him? Yes. Can he knock him out? Yes. I think his striking has improved a lot, to be honest, Malott. The UFC obviously loves this guy. The other thing, Steve, that I listened to an interview of Neil Magny, bro. And if you listen to this interview, it's like, what the hell am I listening to? He says he gets a email or a phone call, I don't remember, one or the other, from the UFC about this fight. He looks at it and he says, I'm not ready to take a fight right now. And he says, he's saying this in the interview. He's like, I'm not really ready to take a fight right now. I wasn't in the mindset to take a fight. Not really ready to take a fight, even though this was like 9 weeks ago. So then he says, you know what? He's like, fuck it. I'm just going to take this fight. So he talks to his coaches He says, I talked to my coaches and they said, no, this is not a good fight to take. And he says, oh, you know what? I'm deciding otherwise. I'm going to take this fight anyway, even though my coaches didn't want me to take it. So he takes the fight. He signs the contract, he says, on his own, without his coach's approval. And then when you listen to him, is like he's going through hell because he's going through a divorce, I guess. So it's like, bro, this guy's whole life is upside down. He's going through a divorce and he has 2 kids and he's not ready to take this fight. And he's fighting an actual really good fighter, in my opinion, that's improving drastically. So it's like all the signs point to him a lot, like probably finishing this guy. I don't like what I heard from his interview at all. And, you know, at this price, obviously, minus 400, like, it's just, there's no value. But I do think Malott finishes him. And I do think Neil Magny needs to just fucking retire, dude. He looked awful. He looked fucking god-awful against Ian Gary. I don't care how good of a striker Ian Gary is. But when you don't have a game plan for fucking simple leg kicks the whole fight, it's embarrassing, dude. Like, you're 39 fight veteran and you're getting leg kicked to death. So, yeah, I mean, that's my take on this fight.
Yeah, I'm here for the Magny slander. Alrighty. Co-main event, Raquel Pennington, Mayra Bueno Silva. So this fight here, I honestly thought I would be liking Raquel a lot. You know, she's been my go-to on this streak. You know, she's super reliable, extremely durable. You know, sits on her punches, underrated power, good cardio, will fight for your money. She's great. You know, I bet her against Renault, Kianzad, Macy Shayson. I think I lied better against Aspen Ladd, and then I lied better against Vieira, and I was a little bit lucky there. That was a split decision. I was chasing my losses, and I think I got lucky with that decision. I haven't rewatched it, but yeah, you know, she's gonna fight for your money, and she's got all those traits that I just mentioned, and I'm like, yeah, Mayra Bueno Silva, you know, if she doesn't finish Rocky, you know, which is why I lean with her durability, how's this fight going to look in 5 rounds? You know, Rocky's going to fight for my money. But I don't know. I just, full disclosure, I just did base level tape for this fight. I didn't go full deep just as of yet. I'm trying to focus on regionals at the moment. And I just kind of felt, I left thinking, you know, I tried fade this chick with Holly Holm, which is an awful bet. That's probably my worst bet while I was in Europe. Usually my Europe bets are, you know, goated. And yeah, I just thought, can the same thing happen here? You know, obviously I think Raquel is way less washed than Holm, but you know, she needs to push you against the cage, out on her feet. You know, Bueno Silva hits so hard for a woman. You know, all these chicks just freak out. You know, I think her submission defense is decent. I'll have to go into it some further because, you know, she's been submitted a bunch, obviously a long time ago, you know, Kat Zagano and, well, that's the only one. I guess I'm wrong.
Just once. She's only been sub once.
I'm thinking of Andrade, because Andrade has been submitted a few times. I saw it on the record and I was like, yeah. Anyway, it's the way my brain works. And yeah, I was thinking, you know, how's this fight going to look for Rocky for 5 rounds? You know, she's just going to strike with a Muay Thai striker and then mix in a bit of cage push. And then in a cage push, she's always liable to get kneed and elbowed and, you know, put her head in a guillotine if she goes a bit too low for the takedown. So I just felt like thinking, yeah, I have to go deep. I have to go deep to see exactly how this fight plays out. And I haven't really done it yet. But I'm not as confident about the dog as I thought I would be. And usually my gut instinct is correct after a few fights. I don't have to go that much deeper. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe some over-unders. I have to deep dive, but I'm not as excited about Rocky anymore just because I don't know how she wins this fight. You know, I don't think she should really wrestle Silva. Even though if you can wrestle Silva and not get takedowns, that Wu Yohan fight is still a red flag, right? That's the reason I faded her with Holly Holm, because that Wu Yohan fight was, to me, was every time I watch it, it's quite close. You know, she got out of that triangle Wu. She was on top of her for a while. Round 3 was competitive, and that's Wu, man. That's not Rocky Pennington. So yeah, that's all I can give you for this fight at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that stuck out for me right away on tape is, how the hell does Mayra Bueno Silva only have 1 KO? Like, I'm like looking at her throw these punches, and she's literally fucking throwing everything into her punches. And I think what you said is probably why. I mean, when she's touching these girls, and I think she's hurting a lot of them, maybe not visually, but they're getting hurt and they're starting to grapple with her. And what happens is she submits them. She's really good on the ground. She's a good striker. She's dangerous with her submissions. You know, but Pennington is tough, man. Like, she's seen it all. Like, she's fought them all. I think she has the better cardio of the two women here. I kind of do think like Silva's a little front loaded here. Like, you know, but I still think she can win a decision. I still think, you know, she can win a couple of rounds early, or maybe even all three early, and then maybe lose the last two. It could be one of those. But at the end of the day, I took a parlay piece here with the over 2.5 here at minus, I think it was like 240 on DraftKings. I just think both girls are durable. Both girls are tough. I don't think it's going to be easy to one or the other to get each other out. And they both know it's a 5-round fight. So usually, well, when these girls know it's a 5-round fight, they're coming out a little slower, not going crazy. And I kind of expect that from Silva, to be honest, because she's throwing really hard early. So she might conserve some of that energy here. It's a 5-round fight. It's for the title. So I like the over 2.5 as like a parlay piece with something else.
Nice, man. That's kind of the way I was thinking as well. I was, rather than just playing a side, you know, if both these girls are durable, just go with that. And it's better than the Silva minus money. Alrighty, let me just address some of these comments. Your boy Dixon. We've seen peak Pennington. It was when she quit versus Amanda. That was not peak Pennington, my friend. That was probably her at her worst. She literally came in chubby for that fight. She had some stuff going on, and since she changed gyms, she's I would say this is her peak, even at her age, 35. She's never looked better. This fight is pretty good and wildly unanticipated. I like Raquel a lot. Silva is a gasser. I do feel like there's a bit of a potential gassing aspect. Also, since she fixed her knee injury and moved up to bantamweight, she's a little bit more flat-footed to me as well. She's a bit more plodding, which obviously not an issue here because so is Raquel. But yeah, I'm feeling like she's not at her athletic prime like she used to be. But obviously, you know, it's women's MMA. She can just plod and run through all these bums that they've been giving her. Alrighty, the main event, and then we're out of here. Sean Strickland, Dricus du Plessis. Again, I'm going to be a bit underwhelming, mate. And this is kind of a fight that doesn't really interest me from a betting at the moment. If I have time, I'll go deep dive. But I knew straight away, you know, people in my Discord, you know, Vegas Dave, the Animal, you know, he gives his favorite bet of the week. And Dricus, and then, you know, 5 minutes before that, you know, PS Big Bird, his favorite bet is Strickland. You know, actually, that was the other way around. Pieces on Dricus. And it's like, yeah, I already know these kind of fights where, you know, two sharps are split. I'm not going to have a strong opinion because that's not how I bet. You know, I don't plant my flag on fights that are most likely close to pick 'em unless I have a strong read. And yeah, I taped it, and it's like, yeah, Dricus looked like an absolute animal caveman against Whitaker. You know, he was on a mission. Nothing could stop him. Nothing could, you know, he just kept coming forward. And Strickland, it kind of reminds me of that fight with what's his name, big black dude, Vanilla. I was gonna say Vanilla Gorilla.
Cannonier.
Definitely not a Vanilla Gorilla. I'll leave that joke right where it's
Cannonier.
right where it's at. I won't go any further with that joke. Yeah, it reminds me of that. You know, like Strickland on paper has the advantages, but when he fought a heavy hitter and low volume and kind of chinny guy like Cannonier, who he hurt, he was still in a close fight. You know, so Dricus is going to throw. He's going to throw for 5 rounds. I see some people saying Cannonier is better. I personally have always been a Dricus truther. You know, I've always looked past his awkward, shitty style, and I've been cashing him because I've watched him back when he knocked out Soldich, and that actually meant something. Right? I'm like, this guy's a savage, man. Like, anyone that can knock out, you know, Roberto Soldich it's impressive. And he was even like suplexing. You know, he had a German suplex on him and had a deep guillotine. So I was like, this is a well-rounded guy. You know, I don't know why he looks so awkward in the UFC, but he's got a lot of skills. So I've always been his fan, and you know, he's fixed his nose. He looked even more menacing against Whitaker. He looked like he wasn't scared of gassing. It was just all relentless pressure. And yeah, I just don't know. I don't know how this fight's going to play out. It's probably going to be a lot of pressure, and Strickland's probably going to concede round 1, maybe round 2, like he conceded against Abus. That was a clear loss for him against a low-level fighter. So it depends what kind of Strickland we see. You know, is he going to be too patient? Is he going to pressure? Is he going to put his head in the danger? I don't know, man. And it's just, I feel like there's a lot better spots on the card. I feel like people are just, confident because these are two well-known fighters and there's a lot of tape and they think they have a good read. But me personally, before I do more tape, which I don't even know if I will, I don't really have a strong opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man, about DDP is like awkward, like you said. But he's constantly getting the job done somehow. But like
he's good, bro. He's good.
He is, but you have to, I mean, when you look at his tape though, and he is almost getting finished by Darren Till, and he's almost getting finished by Brunson, and he's getting wobbled and hurt by what's that Hawaiian guy that's also out of Extreme?
I think that's just his body language, man. I don't think he's even close to getting hurt or finished. He just reacts like a retard.
I mean, his reactions don't look good. I mean, outside of that too, like he's losing rounds to these guys constantly. I mean, Brunson was, I mean, the one portion of the Brunson fight, he definitely hurts him because he falls back on the cage and Brunson lands right into a mount. Like he's fucking hurt. But it's like he somehow pulls through. He somehow gets you back. Like he's obviously very heavy-handed. There's no doubt in my mind. Like the guy is very heavy-handed. He's extremely strong. Like when he's getting mounted against Brunson, he's just like powering out of it, dude. Like there's no technique. There's nothing. It's just like, I'm strong. I'm getting out of this. And he gets out of it. I mean, on top, we saw how vicious he could be. Like he's a very, very dangerous ground and pound guy. Like he can fucking absolutely put your face through the mat. But like, I can't get over the fact that like skill for skill, Sean Strickland is the better MMA fighter. Like no question in my mind. But the intangibles, the crazy power, the awkwardness, all this other stuff does favor DDP. The only thing is, like, I know you mentioned about the nose thing, and I heard about that. But when you watch the Whitaker fight, he does the same exact thing that he does in all of his fights, and he breathes through his mouth still. He's still mouth breathing, which is not a good thing when it comes to cardio. Like, he's mouth breathing in round 1 versus Whitaker. So I don't think that this nose thing is that big of a deal because I still think he hasn't learned how to breathe through his nose. He's still opening his mouth. He's still breathing through his mouth, which eventually is going to get you tired. Now, he pushes through somehow, dude. Like, I don't know how. He looks fucking dead after round 1, but he pushes to round 3, and he's still finishing people in round 3. So he's a weird dude. At the end of the day, if this line gets even lower, I might place Sean Strickland. But I added the over 1.5 here as a parlay piece, honestly. I really like the over 1.5. Yes, DDP can knock him out early, fine. But Strickland has good defense. I think he's going to know that DDP is most dangerous in round 1. He's going to take it easy. And I think as the fight goes on, it's going to favor Sean Strickland. No doubt in my mind. Pepe did reference something like, yeah, Cannonier's usually low volume, but not in that fight against Strickland, man. He threw over 300 fucking significant strikes in that fight. Like, that was not low volume fight. That was a crazy pace. So I don't think DDP can do something like that. He really can't. But yeah, I'm leaning Strickland here. Like, I get the DDP love. I think he has more finishing equity, probably early. But I think if this fight goes on, man, the later the fight goes, I think the more he's going to get screwed here. So I like the over 1.5, honestly. I think there's value even at the price. I think it's a parlay piece, like I said. Most of the finish equity early is probably DDP. It's not Sean Strickland. So, yeah. I mean, that's it for this fight.
Yep, can't disagree. I mean, I don't know about – I'm just not a fan of those juiced overs. It probably hits. Like, I love – my thing with Strickland, I just live bet him every single fight, and he's just a beautiful live betting potential. Even against Izzy, he was like a dog for 3 rounds after he was up like 2-1. All right, I agree with Crystal. Mouth breathing is only bad if you're not a mouth breather by default. I agree with that. I'm a mouth breather now at the moment because I need to fix my nose. All right, I've got like 8%. usually do favorite bets here. Do you have any? Do you have 2 favorite bets? I'll look at mine, and then unless you're behind the paywall or something, you don't want to give it to people. But
Yeah, no, I gave all my bets out. I only have 4 so far, so there's really, I mean, the favorite bet is gone. So it's like there's no point of saying, oh, Mike Malott, minus 260, 400. So those lines are gone. Like, honestly, at this point, there's really nothing that sticks out. I'm just waiting for domestic props. I don't like to give out props now because I know people will hit them on Bet Online, and then we'll get shit props on domestic. So I'm just sitting and waiting.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. My I'm giving out Jimmy Flick. Triple down. Yeah, there's a YouTube reel. There's a podcast for best bet. Jimmy Flick. And there's a brick on my Twitter. I don't know if people haven't figured it out yet, but yeah, for the ones that haven't,
that's a close your eyes bet and just go to sleep type of one. Don't worry about it.
It's easy money bet, dude. It's an easy money bet. And if depending what the sub is, I don't know if they released sub, but
I don't think so.
Yeah, they're good. They're good with not giving us props on that fight. Anyway, man, you want to plug anything? I got 5%.
Yeah, just Lambo plays on Friday with Timothy Troiano on my YouTube. It's at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern every Friday. We hit one last week, 37-1 Lambo parlay, so it was good. Josh Van 2-3 KO and McGee 2-3 KO. So it helped me out because I had a lot of units on Ricky Simone and I looked like a dumbass on that one. But it happens. I mean, we're not going to be always right. We're not always going to be wrong. But at the end of the day, it's a long-term game, man. We're just trying to be winners at the end of the day, and that's all.
Easy peasy. Yeah, I listen to it. It's good to different show right before the card starts sometimes. And I like long shot props too. Alrighty. Other than that, thanks for coming on, man. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope the people that are listening enjoyed it. Like and subscribe. I'm going to get out of here and plug my laptop to charge. And yeah, talk soon. Peace out.